It's more than just your output, more than a bike. When you hear your shout out, you know it's all right. Put on your magic pants and let's go. We're cruising into the power zone. Clip in, set yourself free. Come on and take a ride with me. Know what you need to know and what's it all about. Everything you need, it's on the Clip Out.
Welcome to the Clip Out Podcast, episode 325. This is Crystal O'Keefe.
And this is Tom O'Keefe. People watching on YouTube can see that we are matchy-matcherson today.
We are so matchy-matcherson.
We have red shirts on because we are recording this immediately prior to going to a... What's the one where there's the bat?
It's some kind of sports ball game. So things are thrown.
Yes.
Oh, they have bases.
It's the ball base.
Yes,
and
ball
we
base.
are going to a ball base game.
Mm-hmm.
And
this is the one, like our team has the bird.
Correct.
Yeah. And it's a red bird. That's why we're wearing red.
Hence the red shirts. I don't have an actual Cardinal shirt in my possession.
I had to buy one. I had to have it Instacarted.
I used to have Cardinal shirts, but it's been so long since I've been to a baseball game that none of them fit me.
Yeah, that would have been ginormous on you. It would have looked like a blanket.
Yes. So instead, I'm wearing my super Harlem Globetrotters t-shirt.
Well, it's still sportsy.
Yes, it's still sportsy. It's sports. There's a ball involved. So
there's a ball and it's red.
And it's red, so it counts.
Yeah.
So we fell into the really good seats where you're sitting immediately behind home plate. I think we're like second row behind home plate. So
yeah, and tell them how those came to be, because what's going on with why do we get lucky enough to do that?
Oh, because our team is so bad right now. Nobody else wants to go. And so I was like, I'll take the ones where you sit right behind home plate. Crystal's never gone and there's free food.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun to go to the baseball game every once in a while. I think the last time we went was 8 years ago.
Yeah, it was probably like when one of the kids was...
No, it wasn't. The last time we went was actually with a company I was working with. We had free tickets.
Okay.
Well, the company paid for the tickets, and we had the buffet and everything. Actually, I think you had another buffet one, but it wasn't the ones behind home plate another time. But it still was like 8 years ago.
It's been a bit. So.
Yeah. So every decade or so, we'll watch some sports ball.
Yeah, it was so long ago. I think Keith Hernandez was still on the team.
I know Yachty was.
It was Keith Hernandez is from the 80s.
Oh, I only
know the name because he was on Seinfeld.
Oh.
But
I remember that episode.
So anyway, what, pray tell, do you have in store for people this week?
We are going to talk about the all-for-one class schedule, the brand new rowing classes, the way that Peloton invited people to those row classes, all the details that we know about the Chicago Peloton On Tour event.
Okay.
Peloton Australia has been busy. We're gonna tell you all about that. Also, there's several there's several big items that the instructors are involved in, and we're going to tell you about those as well. Not to mention celebrity update and some fun content and past guest. Oh, wait, we don't have a past guest update. My bad.
300 plus interviews, and not one of you sons of bitch did anything interesting this week.
You know, to be fair, I do not check all 300 people, their feed. If it doesn't show up in my face, I have no idea.
Yes.
So I'm sure somebody did in something interesting.
Most likely.
Whew.
Yes.
All right.
So before we get to all that, shameless plugs, don't forget we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, iHeart, TuneIn, all the places. Wherever you find a podcast, you can find us. While you're there, be sure and follow us so you never miss an episode. Maybe leave us a review. Super helpful. Greatly appreciated. You can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/theclipout. While you're there, like the page, join the group. It's a little bit easier to get involved in the conversation in the group than it is on the page. Plus, the group will push into your feed a little bit more frequently, so you never miss an update if that's important to you. You can also find us on Patreon at patreon.com/theclipout, where you can get these episodes ad-free. If we get them early, you get them early. You can also get bonus episodes like the Clipped Out, which is just stuff we didn't have time to get to in the weekly episode. We've been doing those every week, just companion episodes of overflow content. And
Ooh.
yes, Horseshack.
So I was also thinking that if any of you have been on the fence about joining the Patreon, if you are joining the Patreon that you get the bonus episodes, that's the higher tier, then you also could join our very cool Patreon Zoom happening on September 16th.
Yes,
we'd love to see you there.
We've been doing kind of just Zoom hangouts with Patreon members. So the next one of those is coming up on September 16th. So, and then where am I at in the shameless plugs? Oh yeah, we have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/theclipout, where you can watch all these episodes. And finally, don't forget our newsletter where you can get the links and all the things sent to you. Just a friendly reminder that we put out an episode. You can sign up for that at theclipout.com. So that's it for that. Let's dig in, shall we?
We shall.
Breaking news.
Peloton has announced their all-for-one schedule, the complete schedule.
It is the complete schedule.
I keep thinking like they've announced the classes, and I say that they've announced their full schedule, and you're like, no, not the full schedule.
because last week they had announced the lineup, the artists.
Oh.
This week they announced when those classes would exist.
Gotcha.
They're two different things,
Okay.
Tom.
Okay. I don't know.
But the big highlight of this, the lineup, is that there are going to be several UK instructors that are going to be teaching live classes
Okay.
in the US. So let's see. There's Ben Aldis, Leanne Hainsby, and Hannah Frankson. All three will be present, and they will be in the PSNY. So the other thing was that these went on sale yesterday, so you could go in and schedule it. Boy, was it chaotic over there. And if you were lucky enough to get in, you also had your very, very, very first opportunity to be in a row class live while it happened. So that's super exciting as well.
For sure.
Yeah, so that's going to be a fun weekend because there's going to be a lot going on. So I think, wow, that's going to be next weekend already. I've been so focused on this weekend that I'm not even thinking ahead to the next weekend. But yeah, it's going to be a lot. Also, just a reminder, the reason that there are so many bands you've never heard of is because whatever you listen to, they're trying to appeal to everyone.
It's the whole thing. It says right here, build your own festival.
Right.
So if you're a middle-aged white guy, go ahead and pick the Eagles and ZZ Top.
Yeah.
And
nothing wrong with that.
And you're good. If you're not, if you like the country, you can do Chris Stapleton and Maren Morris. And if you like Rima, whatever that is, you can pick the other artist
and
that's kind of like Rima.
If you like that piece of crap Dave Matthews Band, do that. Like, it's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Like, the whole point is not supposed to just favor one genre. So like if you're upset,
Yeah, go ahead.
if you're upset at this, like you're kind of missing the point.
And if you're wondering why we're harping on this, because there are people that do nothing but complain about this stuff all day.
Yeah.
And we need to spread the word.
Right.
It's not all about you.
It's a mix and match scenario.
That's the whole point.
You're not supposed to like all of it. I mean, if you like all of it, great. You
Great.
have very
That's a bonus.
eclectic and wide-ranging taste in music. But
Because I always thought I had eclectic taste, and then I see this list, and I'm
Yeah.
like, wow,
No, there's-
I am suddenly very aware I am 45 years old.
Right. There's so many different types of music out there. So like they're trying to make something that you can assemble. It's not designed, I think, for you to take every single class.
No, it's not. That's not the point.
Yeah, that's not the point. So quit missing the point.
Ah.
Good God.
Spread the word.
Yes. But as you mentioned previously,
Sorry, I got excited.
Yes, that's okay.
Okay.
Just think about baseball.
I'll try.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, I'm wearing a baseball shirt.
Right.
Woo!
It makes it thinking about baseball less effective for me.
Yeah.
So
That's true. That's true.
As you mentioned previously, rowing classes with members will be debuting during All for One.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Not only, I might be getting ahead of you again.
Do you ever wonder if the band All for One is upset that they're not included in All for One?
Not really.
I mean, it's their name. They were using it first.
Yeah, but they weren't using it as a band. Also,
Well, yeah, they're a band. They were using it.
well, I'm sorry, I didn't say that right. Peloton's not using
Oh,
it as a
okay.
band. And also, All for One started off at Peloton as a very different thing.
For sure.
It has morphed.
But it's like it's all about
like
music.
so many things.
We're called All for One, and we're all about music.
But it wasn't about music at the beginning, and that is literally my point.
Yeah.
But and so now. It is now. But hey, we'll let them work that out.
Yes.
I'm sure they are not shy about making some kind of lawsuit, and Peloton is sure not. They are sure no strangers to getting sued.
Well,
so
All for One spells it with a number 4.
that's a good point,
So
Tom.
there's that, and there's hyphens.
That's true.
So rowing classes with members.
Yes. So I think I'm about to get ahead of you again. But this week, Peloton actually sent out invites to members. Specifically, they had different classes they were sending out invites to. But one of the ones that we saw the actual invite for was for Ash Pryor. And it was to people all over the United States to be able to come in and take the first classes live. I mean, this is pretty special. This is historic to be able to be involved in that. So I think that's pretty cool. And then if you are not able to, you didn't get invited, right? You can still.
You're right. I did not get invited.
That's true.
Yeah.
But then you could still go online yesterday, because Peloton announced the whole All for One schedule yesterday online. Like I said, it was pretty messy, but that was your opportunity to get in. Now, you only had about a second and a half, and you really can't think. Like, here's the deal. Everybody asks, how do I get in? Don't think. Stop looking. Just the first thing that's open, click on it. Do not hesitate.
Don't browse.
Don't browse.
Yeah.
Just click on it. Stop worrying about it. And if there's a wait list, click on that too. Just click on it. Don't hesitate. And it's possible. I know. So just know that it's possible.
It's like online dating. Don't be so picky.
Lower your standards,
Yes.
people.
Take the first thing you get. It'll be fine.
What do they say in preschool? Take what you get and don't throw a fit.
Yes. Like online dating, just pick the first thing that you get. And if you don't like it, it's only 20 minutes.
It's only 20 minutes. Oh my God.
If All for One ticket drama wasn't enough for you, Peloton On Tour Chicago has released their ticket information.
Yes. So the information, and we talked about this last week, that like it was going to, the 31 days fell over Labor Day. So
Right.
I was like, ooh, how are they going to do that? Well, here's how. They're going to drop the information on 9/6. So you're going to find out all the instructors that are going to be there. You're going to find out all of the different events that are going to be there. And then on 9/7 at noon Eastern, that's when you can go in and get your tickets. The events are October 5th through 7th in Chicago, specifically the Skokie, Illinois location. So make sure that you have your alarm set. Make sure you are ready to go. Multiple devices on the ready. Hit refresh. Get in there an hour early. You can do this, people. I know it. I believe in you.
Don't browse.
Don't browse. Take what you get.
Take the first thing you get.
Yes,
All that stuff applies here as well.
it does. Oh, can I just say that I know that it's not official at all. I
Right.
have no official knowledge in this, but I am guessing we're going to see Logan and Selena, and we are going to see
All the people in the Chicago Marathon.
yeah.
That's-
Mariana.
That
Yeah.
seems like a safe bet.
I think so.
Yes.
But it'll be fun.
Peloton Australia has partnered with Accor Hotels.
Or
Accor.
Accor. I'm going to say Accor. I like
Okay.
the sound of Accor, so I'm going with that.
Kind of picture how I would say it with an Australian accent. Accor Hotels mate. How'd I do? Was it like Crocodile Dundee?
We need to get a hold of Roz. That's who we need to get a hold of. Roz, tell us how to say this all Australian.
Did you feel like Crocodile Dundee
No.
was sitting right here in front
I
of
did
you?
not.
What about Glenn Sharrock from the Little River Band?
Not even close.
Okay. What about Yahoo Serious? No.
He was so cute. I had
Yahoo
a little.
Serious?
I had a little crush
Can't
on
believe
him.
you even remember who Yahoo Serious
I told
was.
you, my sister was like 80s. Okay, so like, and we were 6 years apart.
Yeah.
And obviously, like the 80s is all I have of her because
Yeah.
she died in the 90s. So
Yeah.
that's all I got. And so yeah, I definitely do. I remember Yahoo Serious, and I loved his crazy hair. He was kind of cute, and he had that tan look. I don't know. I was a weird kid, but I had a crush on Yahoo Serious. So
Well, at least I know you didn't pick me because I remind you of Yahoo Serious.
no,
Not with the hair.
no.
And the cuteness.
You are cute.
I have neither of those
You are cute in a
things.
very different way.
So-
You are not tan, though. That is true.
Correct.
But anyway, yes, Peloton Australia did partner with Accor Hotels. And so this is going to be similar to Westin, where they are going to have at least one Peloton in every hotel across the...
They will have at least one Peloton not functioning in every hotel.
No, I think most of the hotels are back in business.
That's
They're good. But also, the other thing that Accor is doing is also similar to Westin. They are going to have some of their hotels will have special rooms that you can rent that have Pelotons in them. So that's pretty cool. But I also wanted to point out with this Australian update that the delivery area has been expanded in Queensland. They added a whole bunch more zip codes or whatever they would call it, whatever the equivalent is
of an Australian zip code.
Yes. So that delivery area, there's more people that can now get Peloton. So that was pretty cool. There was also another thing that happened. Oh, I know what it was. Peloton in Australia is also looking for members to talk about their experience. And they have like a Google Doc linked to in this article that when you sign up for it, you have the opportunity to have your story highlighted by Peloton Australia.
How about that?
So there's a lot going on over in the Australia area. Get on it.
Peloton announced this week that they will be participating in the Goldman Sachs Communacopia and Technology Conference.
Now, my understanding, my memory, actually, which granted is a bit fuzzy since the accident, but I'm pretty sure they do this every year, and they've done it for the last 3 years.
I thought so. I don't remember it being called Communacopia.
It is, because I always go, why?
Yeah.
And I always want it to be cornucopia, which clearly is what they're going for.
Well, sure.
But I don't understand what that has to do with anything. Like a cornucopia is like a collection of corn that you do on a Thanksgiving display,
it's
right?
Like a horn o' plenty.
Right. So why is it Communacopia?
I think it's because it's a collection of all these things.
Boy, that's
crammed together.
Y'all need a new marketing team.
Yeah.
That is...
Well, they let the internet nerds. That's what happens when you let coders come up with things like that.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Not my strong point either. But anyway, Liz Coddington, the CFO of Peloton, will be there. It takes place on September 6th at 8:10 a.m. Pacific time.
AdAge, which is a very prestigious publication in the advertising industry, had an article this week about how brands are evolving to engage with anyone, anywhere, and Peloton played a very large role in this article.
Well, and that makes sense, right? Because their whole new thing is fitness, anyone, anywhere. So it's pretty much custom made for them.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure.
So that makes sense. But it's nice to see that Peloton's new marketing strategy is getting some positive buzz. This is not the first article about it, but I would say AdAge is probably more well known, and I would say more well read even outside of people in the industry.
Right.
So
this is like Billboard magazine. Like there are other publications about the music industry, but like Billboard is the one that everybody recognizes. Even the ones who aren't in the music industry.
Totally. And this digs into a little bit of how they decided on certain things, like how people are converting, like what they're using to convert to sales,
right?
Including like Amazon ads, things like that. So it gives a little bit of background into why they made the decisions that they have made. And I think that is very smart. So not only are they meeting people with the app anywhere, but they're also meeting people to buy it anywhere. It just kind of depends on how you look at it. It actually it applies in several ways.
It works on both levels.
It does.
Coming up after this, we're going to dig into instructors in the news. We're going to let you know all about Cody and how he was almost Knuff. So stick around.
Instructors in the news.
Cody Rigsby this week revealed on a Barstool Sports podcast that he auditioned for Ken in the movie Barbie, that he was asked by director and co-screenwriter Greta Gerwig.
Yeah. Before we get into that, can I just say how much I love this artwork that Nikki made? Like every time I see it, I smile all over. It's brilliant and perfect, and I love it.
So we should probably put a little asterisk on him auditioning for the role of Ken for people who haven't seen the movie, and judging by the box office, there's about 3 of you left.
Yeah.
And
don't forget to wear pink when you go.
Yeah. But
it's the law.
There's like 100 Kens in the movie. So, like, he was not auditioning for the role that went to Ryan Gosling.
I will say this. The way he says it, he sure wants you to believe that it was for Ryan Gosling's role. I'm not saying that is what maybe he didn't do it intentionally.
Yeah.
But
well, hang on. Let me put on my real spoilers hat.
All right, get in there.
Movie nerd on you.
All right.
The timeline wouldn't work.
I know.
Because he says that he was asked to audition in February of 2022, but there are reports in industry magazines like Variety and Deadspin, which I think was referencing Variety, but that Ryan Gosling was cast in like his casting was announced in like
October.
October of 2021. So Ryan Gosling was cast in that role for quite a period of time. Now, there are lots of Kens in the movie, as there are lots of Barbies, who are all credited as either Ken or Barbie. They don't really always specify that they're a specific Ken or Barbie, because that's the point of the film. It is the point.
Yeah, it's for sure.
Yeah. And so like John Cena also credited as Ken, and there's lots of different celebrities playing different incarnations of Ken.
I want a Mojo Dojo Barbie dollhouse.
I don't think you're supposed to want that as a woman.
I know.
You're missing the point.
I'm not missing the point. I love it, though. I love his stupid little coat and the way.
Yeah.
I love everything about that movie. I love it so much.
But anyway, putting that aside, it's really cool that Greta Gerwig reached out to ask him to audition for this movie. I think it's really smart.
We didn't really say that part. Like she specifically was like, no, I want him to do it. And he ended up doing his interview over Zoom.
Right. Which is very common for auditions in films. Yeah.
Yeah. Because why would you go unless you happen to be there.
And a lot of people, like, it used to be like you would pre-tape an audition and you would just send it in. And so it makes total sense that they would do something like this over Zoom, especially if it's not necessarily for like the lead in a film. Yeah.
And again, I guess she takes his classes and she really likes his classes. And so she wanted him to be in the movie. I am surprised, though, that they did not find a way to make him a Ken, because like we were talking about last night, boy, that would have been smart marketing wise.
He would bring so much free publicity to the role, right? He's pushing it out on his social media channels. He's talking about it on his rides. Like he has a fan base, and he can tell his fan base about the movie. And so I'm surprised they didn't find a way to shoehorn him in there, especially as many extra Kens as they had.
I definitely agree. And I just want to go back to the beginning and say he just referred to it as the role of Ken, but as you mentioned, Tom, that was kind of the whole point of the movie, that they referred to all of the Kens as a Ken. So in keeping with that, maybe that's why he chose to use that verbiage. But it was, to me, a little confusing for people, because when you hear Ken, you think Ryan Gosling.
You think Ryan Gosling, for sure. Speaking of Cody, PSNY is hosting his book launch party.
He is, or they are. And this is another one that sold out in about 10 seconds. So this is going to be a live Q&A, and Jenn Sherman is going to be the one moderating. This is going to take place on Monday, September 11th at 4 p.m. Eastern. So that'll be fun. They've all had their little book launches, because Ben did his with Leanne in London, and then Alex did it in Atlanta, and I think Marcel was the one who was the moderator, and now we have Cody and Jenn Sherman. So we're almost done with the books.
Until the next
batch.
Yes. This is apropos of nothing, but it's on September 11th, and I'm glad that we're far enough removed from September 11th that people can feel like they can host events on September 11th.
I am too, but I'll tell you,
for real, yeah.
I will tell you, though, I still get a little weird when I have to fly on September 11th.
Oh, I get that.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like it. It's like, it feels wrong. It feels like we should have like a flight pause. I know that's not reasonable. I understand why we don't.
Right.
I'm not asking anyone to. I'm just saying it feels weird.
Yeah. It does feel like tempting fate.
It does.
Even though I logically know.
Right. Well, hopefully nothing like that will ever happen again. Hopefully we have better things in place. But people still hate us, just to be clear.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of Cody, still.
We're on a Cody roll.
Cody Rigsby. He will be doing a photo op event to promote his book at the Barnes & Noble in Union Square. So if you live in New York, you have plenty of opportunities. These things probably aren't even a big deal to you.
This is, well, probably actually they are if you've never gotten to go into the studio, because this is the second one that he added.
I just meant people in New York get so many more opportunities to do things like this than we do.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's living in flyover country.
That's true.
I was just being catty.
You're so catty.
I am. I'm Catty Rigsby.
Were you a Ken?
I'm not good enough. So Jenn Sherman went viral on the TikTok.
Now, to be fair, we've talked about this before.
We have.
Like, we are repeating this story. But I wanted to talk about it for a couple of reasons. One, I'm going to be honest, I was a little confused, and I still am, why this went.
Why it took off?
Yeah, because the original thing that went viral was Jen and her friend Pam were on the street, and they got stopped by one of those, hey, tell us about what you're wearing.
Right.
And then apparently that got posted on TikTok, and like the little Gen Zers just went ape, and they love these two. Now, I love Jen, and I don't know her friend Pam, but knowing how Jen is with her friends and seeing the videos I've seen, I get why I would enjoy it. I don't understand why people my daughter's age would enjoy it.
Yeah, for sure.
So that is not to say, why are they listening? That is to say, I do not understand the way children's minds work.
Oh, for sure.
But regardless, so they decided they are going to start a TikTok, and they are going to be having content all the time.
Okay.
So if you want to follow what is going on with Jenn Sherman and Pam, it is called Jen and Sunny and Jen. You better scroll down because I'm getting this all wrong.
Sunny and Jen.
Sunny and Jen. There we go. And they are the self-proclaimed old bitches that are just having fun.
Okay.
And so I think that regardless of why they went viral, you will enjoy it. And I also want to say that Jenn Sherman was just tickled that we shared her article, and she just sent me the sweetest note. And it's just nice to know that these instructors are still paying attention to what goes on in the community.
For sure.
That whenever people put stuff out there and we highlight them, they're hearing it, they're listening, and that's nice.
Helper Bee Lindsey put together an article for the Clip Out this week, spotlighting the best of Rebecca and Andy's couple outfits.
Yes. And so for those of you, because astonishingly, there's a lot of you that were not aware that they were a couple. That is, I'm shocked that any of you did not know that.
Yeah.
But
it's not remotely a secret.
No. They announced it. They announced it back in 2021. I mean, it's been a long time.
And they post together all the time. It's not legit, even I know that.
I have no idea how anyone missed this.
Yeah.
But if you don't follow obsessively like I do, you probably have a very different view of it. Anyway, Lindsay put together this great
overview
of all of their outfits. There's so many. There's so many here. Their jungle outfits. They're on the beach outfits. They got all dressed up to go to the Tony Award outfits. Freaky Friday, where they switched for their classes, and then of course steampunk. There's just everything.
Yeah.
They're just constantly on it, and it's great. So if you haven't seen these, and like us, you get a kick out of seeing what's going on with the instructors, this is a delightful article, and it's just a really great retrospective of what they've been up to.
I look forward to Lindsay putting together an article spotlighting my best graphic tees.
Ooh, you know what? Do not put the. She will do it. She will do it. She loves the fashion. Well, I know that's not really fashion.
Yeah, I was like, well then.
All I'm saying is, don't put it past her. She'll do it.
Kristen Ferguson is celebrating 2 years with Peloton.
How did that happen? Man, all these instructors that have been around 2 years this year, it's like, whew, time just flew. So I did not realize this as I was researching the information from the article, but now she worked in NFL industry for 7 years.
Okay.
And then somebody just people started telling her she should be a spin instructor when she started taking spin classes. And then she did, and she started teaching them. So then when the pandemic happened, she started teaching them online. And Peloton actually reached into her DMs and asked her to audition.
Oh, wow.
And then she did. And they were like, yeah, but how about for the tread? And she was like, yo, I am not a runner. But then she decided to do it anyway.
They're like, look, do you want to work here or not?
Right. Yeah. And she said, yes, I do.
Okay, I will learn to run.
She said she was going to bet on herself. Well, I think that bet turned out okay. So congrats to Kirsten. We are happy to have you here. Or is it Kirsten? Kirsten?
I don't know. You are asking the wrong person.
I realize that.
Yeah.
But I do know this. I didn't call her Kristen.
Touche. And coming up after this, we're going to talk to Angelo from MetPro. He's going to help you decide the difference between a magic bullet and a magic bull. So stick around. Joining us once again via the magic of a Zoom tube from MetPro, it's Angelo here to answer all of your fitness and nutrition questions, or at least the ones we pick.
There's always a catch.
Yes.
There is always a catch.
Yes.
Well, thank you for being here today, Angelo. We have a question from Susan Dunton Burton. Now, she's wrote in some questions before. You might remember her. Her leaderboard is Susan ATX. She says, Eastern medicine says that all of her foot issues can be addressed by cleaning up her liver health. Can this be true? She's had multiple repeat injuries on her foot throughout the years. She's had sprained ankles, stress fractures, plantar fasciitis, soft tissue tendonitis. She's chalked it up to years of triathlon training and racing, menopause, and osteopenia. She does not drink at all, and she never has. So is her liver in need of something that could help her foot issues? I don't know.
I can honestly say, Susan, I don't know.
Okay.
However, what I can tell you is that, basically, like our colon and an entire digestive system, our liver is fundamental to whole body health. And so if there is something fundamentally wrong with your liver, foot problems is not the first thing that comes to my mind. But,
that's fair.
But, the body requires that filtration system to be working at top notch. So it's never not a good time to be taking care of your liver and eating in such a way that's going to treat it right. So what I will do is to spin this into something, hopefully I can add some value here while staying in my lane, is I get asked questions like this, but then they kind of divulge into, okay, I saw this infomercial about this pill or this device or this item or this new modality. Is it good? Should I try it? So I get asked that question so often in the first week of working with a coach, with a new client, that I actually have saved a pre-recorded message and email response to it. Man, I wish I could find it because I felt I was pretty clever in writing it. But I'll just give you the synopsis. You are going to hear a lot about this vitamins, that you take this and you take that and the supplements and the procedure and you can do this. Will they work for you? You will always find raving reviews from people who it has changed their life. Are those all made up? No, they're not all made up. But I'm going to give you an illustration. I get asked this a lot. Guys ask a lot about testosterone. They say, do you think it will help? And my answer is, not as a doctor, as a personal trainer, I can tell you, if you are low, it will probably help you. If you are not low, you will probably struggle to notice the difference. See, so that same principle applies most of the time to a host of different modalities, strategies. Should I take a colon cleanse? Will it help you? Is your colon sick? Should I take a liver cleanse? Will it help you? Is your liver function declining? If it is not, mega dosing something for that umpteenth optimal degree is where I get feedback from thousands and thousands of clients. And that's where it's usually, I did this or I took this supplement. And I ask them, because I'm always interested in the next latest and greatest for my clients, is that how much do you think it's helping? And usually I'll get the answer, I'm not sure. I think it's helping. And that is the average experience. Now, when I have someone's like, I had blood work done and I was way deficient in this, and then I started taking vitamin D. How'd you feel? Oh my gosh, night and day. I felt so much better. So typically, the thematic narrative that will run along the lines of people who get dramatic benefits out of some modality or supplement or cause are individuals who are personally deficient in what that supplement, modality, etc., is addressing. So if it is inexpensive and safe, just take it and try. See if it affects you. If it's a safe, vitamin D for a lot of people is not going to cause harm. It's a safe thing. It's also not expensive. But there are things that are very involved. Before you commit to, hey, I'm going to do this 2-week liver detox that's very expensive and going to alter my lifestyle, go have your liver checked. See what the blood test shows. And if there's a delta there where there's a benefit to it, then yeah. If there's not much of a delta, you could still do it. It probably won't hurt you, but there's less odds you're going to see that dramatic upside. Now, connecting it to your foot, you're going to have to talk to someone that's one pay grade above me. I'm not sure about that. but I can tell you that when it comes to general health and well-being, that's one of the first things, athletes, we're not drinking this. We're not drinking during the on season. That has a lot to do with the effects alcohol has on the body and liver function. So this is a real thing. It's not made up. But how much it's going to impact you, well, that, as we say so often, it depends.
That was a really good answer.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for all that. And if people would like more detailed information about their own personal fitness journey, where can they find you?
They can come and visit with us at metpro.co/TCO.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Peloton celebrity sightings.
So there was an interesting article this week about Metallica. It was in the Daily Mail. It's also, I believe, in the Wall Street Journal. You're seeing the Daily Mail because
you don't have to have
I don't have a subscription to the Wall Street Journal, and I love intrusive banner ads.
Well, yeah. I love when people are like, oh, I don't have ads. Then you go to their website and it looks like trash because there's all this shit stacked everywhere. Yeah. Who are you talking to?
So this is what not having a subscription-based web model looks like.
Yeah.
So, anyway, they were talking about Metallica. They're going out on the road on their No Repeat Weekends tour and how they have swapped alcohol for Peloton and tofu.
I think that's amazing.
Yeah, apparently drummer
we're all getting old.
Yeah, drummer Lars Ulrich is a huge Peloton fan.
Man, well, Tom, get some Lars on here.
I will do my best.
Yeah, why don't you, when he's in town in St. Louis, just put your little press credentials on.
Oh, sure.
And hop on down there.
I'll get right
to
on
the
that.
Enterprise Center or wherever they're calling themselves.
It's not at the Enterprise Center. It's at the Dome. It's a stadium.
Oh, it's at the Dome?
Yeah.
All the more reason not to go.
Yeah.
God damn, that's too big.
And the way they're structuring the tour this time is that it's called No Repeat Weekends, and I think they're doing like a Thursday and a Saturday, or maybe a Friday and a Sunday, and then they have the set list is totally different each night, and the opening acts are totally different each night. So yeah,
I like Metallica. I don't know that I really need to see them 2 nights.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Like I like Metallica, but like especially 2 nights of dealing with that level of concertness is a lot. Just the traffic and the crowd and like that, like.
Yeah, because it's not like you're going to a chill concert.
Right.
This is the kind of concert that you have to like put your patience on and walk very slowly as everyone is like yelling and screaming and singing at the top of their lungs, and you can't move because you're crushed up against the building. That stuff stresses me out, man.
Yeah, I don't know that I want to do that twice in 48 hours. I'm in my 50s.
I know. In my 20s, yeah. But then I couldn't have afforded it, so it wouldn't have mattered.
Well, but in your 20s, bands like this were cheaper.
Not this band.
Oh, but they were still cheaper than they are now.
Okay, well, everything was cheaper in my 20s than it is now. That is true.
New content.
So last week we introduced the Unstackables, which are classes so difficult you would be foolish to attempt to stack them. You will be taking your life in your own hands. And so
yes, you will.
We have a list of the most recent unstackable classes.
This is Helper B. Kelly put this together. And she talks about how you can find the classes. So she gave a couple of examples, but she also told you how to find them. So some of the ones that come up all the time, Adrian Williams, Advanced Thunder 45, Jess Sims, and Tunde, they are always showing up on the hardest classes, like when Jess does her Saturday 60, Tunde, when she does a full body boot camp, watch out. Then, of course, Katie Wong has her 60-minute full body boot camp from 11/10/22 that apparently is still making waves. And then, of course, there is Kendall's Metallica. Andy Spears got one of the hardest classes. We've got Selena's 20-minute upper body class from 5/22. And one of the hardest, Bex Gentry makes the list several times. Matt Wilpers has a Hit and Hills run.
I believe it's
Hills.
Hidden Hills.
Hidden Hills?
Yes.
Okay. See if you can find the hills in this very difficult class from April 5th of this year.
So it makes it so difficult. Why?
And then Selena got another mention for her 20-minute hit cardio from, let's see, September of 2020. So
take that class while you can.
Yeah. Better get in there because, it's going to be purged. And for all of you saying, oh, the hardest classes are all gone. They're all gone. Nothing else there. Well, people would beg to differ with you. So make sure that you are branching out and trying new things. Don't be stuck in your little bubble. Get outside it. Try some new things. You might find some hard classes that really challenge you.
Helper B. Tina wrote a review of Matty Maggiacomo's evening stretch classes.
Yes. And doesn't he look peaceful in this picture? I really love the artwork on this. We've got some talented folks over at the Clip Out. You know that? Well, Matty has these evening stretches, and every single thing that I have heard, not only from Tina, but across the board, everybody loves these things. You can do these stretches even in bed. Tom, this might be up for you. Maybe you could try Peloton. You can lay there and do it. You don't even, you just like gently move your legs and like that.
That sounds like a lot.
I tried, Maddie. But people just swear by these and how easily they drift off to sleep after these classes. So if you haven't had a chance to try it, this is a great example of what I'm talking about. Don't stay in your bubble. Try new things. You might find that you have a new favorite.
Yeah, there's so much content.
So much.
Lindsay had a review of Fiesta Latina rides.
Yes. So she took one and she realized very quickly that she knew less Spanish than she thought she did. And she had her daughter, who was taking high school Spanish, come in and listen and see if she could help her.
Did she get extra credit?
No.
No.
And also she did confirm that Camila Ramon speaks very quickly when she speaks her Spanish.
I think when anybody's speaking their native tongue, like if you don't speak it, it feels like they're talking a million miles.
Yeah, because your brain is still 3 words back, like trying to figure out that word, and they've moved on.
Yeah.
So even if they were speaking like really slow, I think it would be difficult. But despite that, Lindsay had so much fun in this class. She loved the music. She loved Camila's energy, Camila. And she was like, it really doesn't matter. Like, her energy transcends. And so this particular class did not have any subtitles when Lindsay took it. They don't always have them right away. So it does take some time for those to get programmed in.
Right.
So don't worry, they will show up for most classes, not all. But if you haven't gotten a chance to try it, definitely take it. It's a party. By the way, I had so many people reach out to me and explain Fiesta Latina.
Oh, okay. Well, that's nice.
So like there are classes that Peloton celebrates in September through October, and that is the Latin Heritage Month, right? But and that's the one that's like halfway through September, halfway through October.
It's not like one calendar month. It's spread across 2 months. Yeah.
Yes, and that is to celebrate the independence of several Latin American countries.
Okay,
but Fiesta Latina is more about when you used to go to parties and they're like that Latin feel to it. So like how do you say it? Quinceañera? No.
Quinceañera?
Quinceañera. I knew I wasn't getting my syllables correct. But yes, like a quinceañera, like the music you would hear. So like in white people terms who have, like us,
right.
Like the weddings we went to in the 80s where they played all the same music at all the different weddings.
Right.
Like that kind of celebration, like all your favorite hits, and like it brings you back to that nostalgic place. Didn't have to be the 80s, but you get the gist.
I know when I was a child, you always, maybe this was a Midwest thing, you always heard Rolling on the River.
Oh, yes.
By Tina Turner.
Yes.
At every wedding.
You also heard old time rock and roll.
Yes.
You had to play. It's like a law in Missouri.
And there
you
was
have
always
to play.
Muscatuli.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this usually took place in a church basement.
Yes.
And then there would be those paper decorations, with like wedding bells made out of paper. Yeah. Dark wood paneling.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm there. Yeah, that's what this was. So that kind of playlist, the one that's nostalgic from your childhood and being able to enjoy those like your home, you're with your family. That's what this is. So thank you to all of those who reached out to me and explained that. I really appreciated it.
Absolutely. And I know it's called Fiesta Latina. Every time I see the headline, I want to say Feisty Latina.
Well, she is feisty.
There is that.
In case you missed it.
So every week we put out the Eagle Call, and then you guys respond with your favorite classes of the week. We call it the TCO Top 5, and here they is.
Okay, this week we had the Max Martin Walk and Run with Bex Gentry from 824. So Erica Griffin, she gave us 2 Max Martin series recommendations. We just stuck with the one.
Okay.
The Cody, the ride with Cody and the Max Martin run and walk with Bex. But the run walk was chef's kiss perfection. Perfect combo of running and walking, made it available to all levels. And again, the playlist was hit after hit. I definitely will be putting this on my list because I told you last week I really wanted to hear some of these Max Martin classes because I had no idea he was involved in so many things.
We don't typically pay attention to producers as listeners, right? We focus on the artists. And then maybe if you really like a song, you start to pay attention to who wrote it. But most people don't get into the production. Don't get into the producers. That's pretty in the weeds for the average consumer.
Yes. Well, then we have the metal ride that was in German from Charlotte Weidenbach. This was also on 824. That was a big day for taking classes, apparently. And Billy Lenore says...
What? Billy Lenore liked a metal ride?
I know. It's shocking.
The hell
Billy,
you
that's
say.
so outside your comfort
the hell
zone.
You say.
But he said that this was the hardest metal ride to date. It comes out of the gate slapping your legs and lungs all over and really pushes you to be ready to unleash a brutal assault from head to toe. I had nothing left except a cool down ride, and it took all 10 minutes of that to find my life again. It was amazing. Love it.
I bet you he's going to see both nights of Metallica.
I bet he is. He's going to have his rock horns on.
Yes.
Tell us all about it, Billy. Then we have the favorite Peloton live DJ ride. That was with Emma Lovewell on 825. This comes from Jennifer Johnson Robinson. She recommended it. She says that Emma's DJ class ride was outstanding. Outstanding playlist, class structure, a great workout with mix of intervals and climbs, and Emma and DJ John Michael were having so much fun, made the class go by. I tell you, DJ John Michael's his little intros and the way he shows up, they give every class new energy. I love when he shows up. Then we have a Peloton yoga. This one is from 826, 30-minute tropical house yoga with Anna Greenberg. Grace West says that the playlist was all good vibes, and she finished the class feeling energized and stretched. There was a mermaid ocean theme to the class where several of the poses were compared to sea creatures, and I thought it was a lot of fun. That is fun and different. Okay, well, we can't forget the Unstackable. This week's is brought to you from the instructor, Christine Diercollet, 827. It was a 45-minute new wave. This was celebrating CDE's Crashiversary. Betsy Arndt submitted this. It had been exactly a year since Christine crashed on the track, breaking multiple bones. And you get to see a different side of Christine as her friend Mallory is in the studio, and she was also severely injured in the crash. The ride has 6 moderate efforts, but ends with a race modeled after a real velodrome race. And for possibly the first time ever, Christine instructs you to chase someone ahead of you on the leaderboard. The race lasts 5 to 7 minutes with random 15-second sprints. It's a big challenge, but something you are going to be so proud of completing. So That is a good one. Yeah, I love that.
And if you want to participate and give us your class for the weekly TCO Top 5, you should join the Clip Out group over on the Facebook. It's where we post it every week.
We also have started adding it to the Instagram feed. So if you have something and you're not on Facebook, join us over on Instagram. Watch for it on Mondays.
And you can find that on Instagram at ClipOutCrystal.
You can.
Also, we have This Week at Peloton, which is what's coming up. I guess this isn't in case you missed it, but it's so you don't.
Yeah, so you don't. That's exactly right. So Dennis Morton did, I think, perhaps the first ever Motley Crue yoga flow, and that was on August 28th. So I haven't gotten to take it, but yoga? Motley Crue. What can we possibly be sad about?
Thinking lots of Home Sweet Home.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking that too, like more of the ballad side, right?
Yeah.
Then on the 29th, Matty Maggiacomo had a tropical core strength class, and that is going to be a lot of fun. Not to mention on the 31st, they're going to be releasing a whole bunch of Outdoor Reloaded classes, and this is going to be Reimagining Artist Series. Now outdoor content. So the instructors that are going to be participating, Camilla Ramon, her first outdoor content, everyone. Need to put a little asterisk by that. Selena Samuela, Matt Wilpers, Andy Speer, and Jess Sims. So lots of fun. Don't forget there is less live content right now because we've got the closures over at PSL and PSNY this week. So there are less classes, but more drops.
Okay.
Peloton birthdays.
And finally, we only have one birthday this week. It's on September 7th, and it is Mila Lazar.
I believe it's Mila.
It is Mila Lazar.
Happy birthday.
You haven't lived until I've mispronounced your name.
So true.
You are welcome.
Used to call me Christine for years.
And coming up after this, we're going to talk to Jim Feeney. He is actually riding his bike around the entire perimeter of the United States while raising money for charity. And he's going to take a brief break from his ride to talk to us about it. So stick around.
Checking in with the Peloton community.
Joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube is Jim Feeney. Hey, Jim, how's it going?
Good. How you guys doing?
Well, we're so glad to have you here. We have to start by telling people what it is you're doing.
Well, he's doing a podcast
right now.
I mean, that's
besides the
pretty obvious.
podcast.
I don't understand what we're doing.
Yeah. Besides the podcast, I'm actually on a bicycle ride around the perimeter of the United States, around the continental United States.
Yeah.
I started in April, and I hope to finish in September. And right now, I'm approximately almost 90% done with the trip. So I've gone clockwise. I started in New Orleans, Louisiana, and then went clockwise over to basically San Diego, and then up to Seattle, and then across the Midwest, the perimeter states up there, Montana, North Dakota, and then basically followed the Great Lakes, and then went up into New England. And now I'm basically going down the eastern seaboard right now. So we're just south of Charleston, South Carolina.
Sheesh. Oof. That is, I'm tired. I'm tired just thinking about it.
Is there like one road that rings all that? Like it's not like Route 66 or anything, right? Like, there's nothing like that.
But there are some roads. Like, for example, on the West Coast, you've got Route 1 that runs basically from San Diego, basically up to Seattle. But it was sections of that were closed because of the rain they had last winter.
Yeah.
So we had to divert from that. But not generally, you do have secondary roads that go in long distances, but not necessarily across, many, many states.
It's just like, what you're doing sounds so like
awful. It sounds awful. You could say it.
Why do you think it's awful, Tom?
He hates cardio, and you're doing nothing but cardio for 4 months.
Yeah. 2, you're in Florida, but not going to Disney World.
That's fair.
So,
that's fair. And also in August. So that's
yeah. Although the way this is shaping up, you're not having storms headed towards you. They're on the other side of the country. That was really nice of you to dial in the weather that way.
I know. I've actually been super blessed with the weather. I know there's been extreme heat situations throughout the country, but I've actually missed it. So,
really?
yeah, when Texas had that super heat and was getting up to past 100, and now they're there. That now, I was there in early April and missed it. So I've been really, really lucky with the weather. So it's been really, really good.
So is there any thought? Sorry, she started talking.
No,
but
go ahead.
Since I'm the man, I'm going to go first.
Here we go.
Wow.
So
who controls the microphones? That's the
I
most
know.
important thing.
It's my birthday in 2 days, and this is what I'm getting. This is what I'm getting.
in 2 days, I'll let you talk for the first half of the day.
No more naps for you. No more naps. It comes in hot.
So, was there any thought given as to whether you would go clockwise or counterclockwise? Does it matter?
No, that's a good question, Tom, actually. So,
See?
Crystal, he's actually got a good question.
So there.
Credit to Tom.
Well, because he's on my side because of the man thing.
No, actually, it's a very good question, and there is some credence to that. The reason why I'm doing it clockwise is because the prevailing winds are actually west to east, and so better to start that when you're kind of at full strength and in a better position to start to go against the headwinds, and then hopefully by the time you get up to the northwest and you start coming back east, you've got the winds behind you, and it has worked out generally that way. Basically, the winds have been coming from the west to the east or from the north to the south. So the first half of the ride was a lot of headwinds. The second half has actually been less so sometimes, but not as much as the first half.
Is there one direction that would see, like, obviously there's hills no matter which direction you're going to head.
Yeah.
But in the aggregate, is there one direction that has more uphill than the other?
It's probably true. Yeah, probably there is. I'm not aware of that, but
maybe
what's
that's
surprising.
For the best.
Yeah, I think what's surprising is that the highest elevations I went through were actually in New Mexico, which people would probably think would be in Montana or the northern states, but actually going over the Continental Divide in New Mexico was at 7,600 feet.
Oof.
So that was the highest point I went through on the ride.
Yikes.
I'm curious why.
Hang on, I have one more question. No, I'm kidding.
We're done with you, sir. I'm curious why you decided to go around the perimeter of the United States as opposed to like straight across or some other, especially since, we'll get to this, but you've done this before. So what, as
someone who lives in the middle of the country,
okay, that's fair.
You made the right call.
That's
like,
fair. Maybe I don't.
No, actually, it's a good question as well. So, back in the early days, back in the dinosaur age of 1991, I actually did a cross country trip from Seattle to New Jersey, and then I liked doing that trip, but I wanted to do it more on my own and more as a fundraising endeavor. That 91 trip was a fundraising endeavor, but I wanted to try to raise a little more money and you pay all my own expenses and basically all the money go towards the charity. So I decided I'd try to do a perimeter one. And so in 1996, I did a perimeter ride around the United States and mostly camping. I was 33 years old. I was pretty much single, had a very supportive girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife. And basically had people follow me around in my little pickup truck throughout the ride, and did that in 1996.
Wow.
So did the at the time qualifier, did that refer to the fact that she's now your wife or that she's no longer supportive? I'm just trying to start some trouble.
You are feisty today, Tom.
I know. You can almost tell it's a Friday. Huh,
I
Tom?
know.
You're ready for the weekend. I can tell. No, she's been very supportive, and the trip went very well back in 1996. And the reason why I'm doing it again is really that this year I turned 60. So this was kind of a bookend to the last ride. I thought I'd do it one more time while I had the opportunity, and still had health. So I thought I'd try to do it here one more time.
I thought the first one was like your FTP test. And you're like, I finally completed all the Power Zone rides. And I got to see where I'm at.
Yeah, exactly. So you're right. In some respects, you're right. So this is my second FTP test to see if I'm actually doing better or worse than the first one. So,
in all seriousness, though, how does it feel comparatively? That's
Yeah, I think what I would tell you is, since 1996, the country's grown a lot more hills than I remember. That's all I could say. There are certainly a lot more hills than I remember in 1996. But no, generally it's been good. I'm at a different pace, obviously. I don't know what my pace was in 1996. I was younger, obviously. It was probably faster.
Sure.
But it's one day at a time at this point. I'm just basically trying to do it one day at a time, and it's going fine. You know what I mean? My body's still holding up, so that's the best I can hope for, I guess.
It's like when you're younger, the pace is faster, but the refractory period is shorter.
Yeah, true.
But when he has the energy to pedal again.
right.
Yeah.
Right. Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. That's what
exactly.
you meant. Yeah. Oh my goodness. So I also am just curious what the logistics are for this.
Sure.
Like you said, you were camping last time. What is it? I mean, what does it look like this time? How is that different?
Well, it looks like he's in a hotel.
I know, right? I wasn't going to call him out,
No, you can call me out. So the difference is 1996 was the technology didn't exist. The internet didn't exist. So it was pretty much paper maps, camping.
Oof.
Kind of had a big campground book, figured it out every night, kind of where we were going to sleep or stay. The logistics were, if the roads were closed, we had to pull out the maps and figure out where I was going to ride next. Now the technology is I have handheld, obviously a phone that's mounted on the bike. It's got GPS. It's got basically mapped out routes. There's still construction and things that happen, so you have to kind of reroute and things like that. But yeah, the difference is at 33, I could sleep on the ground. At 60, I'm not going to sleep on the ground. So
good call.
I had a whole bunch of Hilton points. And then I lucked out about a month and a half ago. Hilton Social reached out to me and actually donated a whole bunch more points to me.
Oh, that's really cool.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was very cool. I was very impressed. Hilton basically said, we love what you're doing. Actually, the Hilton Foundation, one of their tenets is disaster recovery, and that's kind of what I'm doing here.
Yeah. Tell us about what exactly you are raising money for. We got sidetracked into the awesomeness of what you're doing, but
we all have short attention spans. That's okay. So what I'm doing is I'm raising money, and this is all for charity. It's for an organization in New Orleans that was founded in 2006 originally called the St. Bernard Project, now called SBP, and originally called the St. Bernard Project because they were working in the St. Bernard Parish of New Orleans. It was founded by a young couple. They came down to New Orleans and started rebuilding homes after Katrina. And then they were called to ask to help in other locations for disasters, tornado in Joplin in 2013. And they went there and they started helping Joplin. And now they've worked in Houston and Joplin and Puerto Rico and South Carolina. And so they're doing work all over the country. So now they've rebranded to be just SBP because people hear St. Bernard Project and they don't know what to identify with that.
Sure.
So
they think maybe it's
I've worked
something
with
about
the organizations. Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought it was.
Tiny barrels of whiskey to young cartoon puppies.
But they've been around since I've been volunteering with them since 2009.
Wow.
And what's interesting about the organization is this young couple that started it was a lawyer and a teacher who lived in Washington, D.C. And 6 months after Katrina, they went down to New Orleans, saw what was happening, and moved down to New Orleans to start a nonprofit to start rebuilding homes. So that's why I'm doing it for them, because they changed the course of their lives to basically rebuild homes, and now they do it all over the country.
That's incredible. I was looking at the website, and I was really surprised that they bring in is probably the wrong word, but they work with AmeriCorps to build these houses. You can be part of AmeriCorps, and it all goes. I was kind of fascinated by that because I don't really know that much about any individual organization, but I always find it fascinating when organizations we should work together. We should find a way to do something. I think that's cool.
Yeah. A lot of times they go into a small community and I said to people, it's kind of a weird thing to say, but I say they're kind of like a vampire. They have to be invited into the community. They don't actually just come in and think we know how to do it. We're going to do it. they ask the community, are you prepared? Is there anything we can do to help you recover? And if there is a nonprofit locally that's handling it, they will just work with them to try to recover the area. They won't try to overstep. They will basically just work behind the scenes and help them get funding to clean up the local community, because they think at the local level, that's where it all happens. If you think about it, if we have a storm or some sort of disaster, what happens is you have people that you've never met who are your neighbors who come out of the woodwork, and suddenly they're asking you, what can I do? Do you need food? Do you need someplace to stay? And things like that. So the interesting side effect is sometimes the worst of times in terms of disasters bring out the best in people. And that's what this organization is all about. So it's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah. So is that why you chose your starting and ending point where you did?
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. So I'm actually starting and ending at the national headquarters of this organization that's located in New Orleans.
Fantastic. Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah. What are your fundraising goals?
So my fundraising goal was originally, I had a conservative fundraising goal by my standards of I wanted to raise about $100,000. But I teamed up with an SPP board member, Lisa Eisenstein, who was just fantastic. And she's just a spark plug. And she said, no, let's try to raise $300,000. And here's why. Because it takes on average about $30,000 to bring a family home. So let's try to bring 10 families home with this trip. And so I said, that's a fantastic idea. So to date, we're at $214,000.
Oh, we got to get you there. We got to get you there. How exciting. Yeah.
So we're getting there. And I have confidence that, through you guys and everybody else we've been talking to, I think we'll get there by the time I finish the ride.
Okay. Well, what can the Peloton community do to step up? Where do we sign up?
Sure. So you've probably, as you saw, there's a website, SB Perimeter. So I took the first three letters of I took SBP and just perimeter on the end. So basically it's sbperimeter.org is a website that tells you all about the ride, and you can donate on that site. You can also follow me on Instagram at SB Perimeter, and I have links on there in my bio that would basically allow you to also donate to the ride. So there's plenty of opportunity. And as far as the Peloton community, I have to tell you, they've been amazing. So the story, I think, that Christine Derrico mentioned me on a ride that she did in March, that I did a live ride with her, which I had no idea was coming. And it just blossomed into, I've met a number of Peloton people around the country who have stopped and come out and cheered me on throughout the country. And it's just been an amazing community. I've been blown away I knew that Peloton had a community. I think I've always known that, but I never realized how intense of a community it was and how much people loved helping others and loved reaching out to each other. And it's just been amazing to see the Peloton folks coming out. It's been incredible. Did
I see that correctly, that some people have actually ridden with you in little chunks along the way as well? I say little because any of your chunks are ginormous.
No, I've actually had a couple of Peloton folks join me for, a day of riding or, a couple of hours of riding throughout the trip. And it's been a lot of fun because you just get to meet people. There's a lot of Peloton riders who are just comfortable on Peloton, but not outdoor riding. Yep. So that's a qualifier right there. But that's fine as well. But some people have just come out and said hello or, a greeting, or I've had dinner with folks. It's just been amazing, the support behind with the Peloton community. It's been unbelievable. And there's been a group of Pelotoners who have actually tried to, in groups of 8 or 9, have tried to match my mileage virtually every day. So they're basically, So there's a group of in total about 200 Pelotoners who are Christine Derrico's supporters, so CDE supporters, who are basically riding as much as I'm riding as well. And the groups of 8 or 9, and there's 200 of them. And it was put together by a good friend of Christine's named Angelo, who's done an amazing job of getting these folks together. So it's just been amazing, the outpouring of support on the Peloton community. I've been blown away.
Are they adjusting the resistance when you hit a hill? Phone it in. This one's a rough one.
Exactly. Well, it says it's a steep climb. No, I honestly don't. That's a great question.
When you have a headwind, their spouse is in front of them.
Exactly. They get a big fan in front of them.
Does your wind smell like coffee, Jen? My wind smells like coffee.
But I also saw that Christine came out and rode with you for a portion of your ride. How was that? Tell us all about it.
Sure. So that's the follow up to I did a in live studio appearance in March with Christine, and again I had no idea that she was going to call me out and basically talk about the ride, and everything was pretty amazing. She's just such a warm and caring person. And then after that, she kept in contact. She's IM'd me on Instagram a number of times. And then she asked when I came through New York, would it be okay if we got together and we did a ride to New York together? So when I got to New York City, I came into Manhattan and we actually rode, both Christine and I, and then 24 other Pelotoners who showed up. And we rode on a Saturday morning down to Battery Park, so about 6.5 miles on the bike path all together. And again, just totally blown away by all the folks in Peloton and just all the support. It's just so good to see. And it's amazing what people do in this community. I'm just blown away.
And and you were featured on the Peloton Instagram, I saw as well. Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's just like I said, this, the way I describe it is that, I'm in a 60-year-old average gym, and all of a sudden Christine Derrico mentions me, and all of a sudden my Instagram blows up like I'm a celebrity, and it's just crazy. I don't even know how to handle it. Like this is crazy. But she's been so supportive. And she's been so warm and, just an outpouring of community, and she's reinforced it. And a number of people have donated from CDA supporters and just Peloton supporters in general. It's just been an amazing thing.
So I wanted to kind of circle back around and ask you how Peloton came into your life. Obviously, you've been an avid cyclist for quite some time.
It's interesting because people ask me that all the time. They say, "Are you an avid cyclist?" I would say I'm sort of off and on throughout my life. You know what I mean? As fatherhood came on and you get busy and like everybody else, things come off and on. But what was interesting, Peloton came into my life really in 2021 because both my daughters had purchased it. I have a daughter who lives in New York City, and she had purchased a Peloton, and she really loved it. And then I had a local daughter who lived the next town over from me, and she purchased one. And so in the fall of 2021, I basically purchased one. And then, like you said, I thought, okay, it's a bike, I'll get on. But once you started seeing the instructors, it was really cool because, like, I think everybody says this, you kind of find the instructor you like, and it's the instructors, usually I have a number of instructors I'll use, but there's one person I always go to, and it's Christine. I mean, it's just a comfort level. I love her classes. I love her music. I love her outlook, and I love her story. A single mom, she came as, basically challenged in early adulthood, didn't know what she wanted to do, and then found her passion in cycling. And it's a pretty cool story. And so I did a lot of her classes. And when I thought about doing this trip, I knew in New England, it was going to be really hard to train in the winter. So that's basically what I did, is supplement my training by doing Peloton training during the winter months. So it was really cool.
Yeah. Has it changed your outlook on outdoor riding versus indoor riding at all?
Yeah, I think indoor riding is very difficult. I think it can be just as challenging as outdoor riding. And I think it's a different type of challenge. But also Peloton's opened my eyes to, again, a community, because, I've done indoor cycling before at a simple stationary bike. But when you introduced Christine, and then I got introduced to this amazing Peloton community, throughout the country, we all kind of agree. It is kind of a cult. I mean, let's be honest here.
I like to say, but it's a healthy cult. Like, they're not, we're all doing good stuff, not like, drinking weird Kool-Aid.
Yeah, exactly.
But you guys all have the same shoes.
That's true.
Well, that's true. We do. Exactly. Kind of like the Dutch, but that's okay. But what's interesting was a side effect of this ride has been, I've met some amazing people, And then, as I explained before, these groups of people that are virtually riding with me on this ride, I met two of them in Newbury, Mass, just north of Boston. We went out to dinner, and they only knew each other virtually, and then they met each other. And one was a nurse practitioner, and one was a pediatrician, and they hit it off immediately. So I think there's a friendship that developed from just this virtual meeting that suddenly, and I think that's what Peloton does. And I've met a number of people who've now got together and met each other because of Peloton. And I think it forms a lot of friendships because they have something very much in common.
Did you know that there are actually several couples who have gotten together because of Peloton? In fact, gotten married because of Peloton.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
There's even proposals that have taken place in the studio.
Really?
Yes. At least two that I know of. And there's a couple people that they did not know each other at all except through Peloton, and now they are married. And that's
crazy.
I
mean, I know Christine and Brian because I know she
one.
tells the story, but I didn't realize there were others. But it kind of makes sense, because it's a commonality, and you got, it's like I said, that you find kind of your passion, and people are very passionate about Peloton. And you don't have to ride every day, but people find their own groove. And then I think you find somebody who's kind of in that groove, and I could see where that would be a great match.
Absolutely. One of the reasons I wanted to ask you about outdoor riding versus indoor riding is I am kind of hypersensitive about the safety of riding, especially. Yeah. I don't know if you know about my accident. I was not riding. I was running. I was running in February, and I got hit by a car. And since then, I know that there have been people that have been hit on bikes like forever. I know that's not a new thing, but I feel like it changes your awareness whenever you're in something like that. And so when I think about riding around the entire United States and how many hours and days you're out there, I just how are you staying safe? How do you, what precautions do you do?
So, obviously, the software I'm using is primarily set up. It's set up as cycling software. So it is routing on roads that are, using heat mapping, meaning basically the most riders are using this road. So if I go from A to B, which would be a straight line, and maybe there's a major road that is the A to B straight line, the software will probably route me back and forth diagonally or on an alternate road based upon cyclists use that road more often. So the software is pretty intelligent about keeping me away from busy roads. It can't do it 100%, obviously, because sometimes you have to go on busy roads, but it does a fair job of that. So that's one thing. The second thing is I'm always wearing a helmet on when I ride. I'm also got lights on the bike, and I'm also riding only during the daytime. I'm not riding any darkness, because I'm taking some of those things off the table that are definite no-nos or definite going to potentially raise the possibility of an accident. And like you said, I think because of what happened to you, I think you're right. You're probably hyper aware of your surroundings. And I think you can be lulled into a sense of security if you've done it for a long time. So I'm just trying to take each day as it's a new day, and these are new drivers and they don't know me. Thankfully, I've had no major accidents or incidents so far.
Yeah,
I've only had 2 or 3 minor falls, but that's the old, you clipped in and you can't clip out fast enough and you fall over. I mean, even as a veteran, it just happens all the time.
I'm glad it happens even to veterans because...
Oh, yeah. It's not a rookie thing. It happens because it's just the way you clipped in sometimes, and you have to stop or something and you just fall over, and you just resign yourself that we're all in this together. It's just the way it is. So
do you have hotel reservations and then you have to make it to that reservation, or do you kind of go and then you choose to stop and hope that there's a room?
No. So normally what I do is I'll go about a day ahead. So for example, tonight, I know where I'm at tonight, and I'll basically look at the ride tomorrow. And then I'll see where hotels around the area. Mm-hmm. If I can, I'll ride right to the hotel. If or if there's no hotel in the area, the SUV will pick me up at the end point. We'll drive to the hotel with the bike, and then the next morning we'll come back to that end spot and start that spot next day. If I can, I only plan it about a day in advance, partly because weather.
Yeah,
whether I ride longer or shorter.
You can't control that. Yeah, that's why I was wondering, how do you do that? Have you ever run into where they're like, oh, Springsteen's in town and there are no hotels?
Yeah, what's interesting, Tom, about that statement is I didn't realize, and one of the Pelotoners let me know, is I'm going through Titusville, Florida next week. And she said, there's a rocket launch the following day, right? So she's like, you should make sure you can get a hotel room because you may not be able to if that rocket launch proceeds.
Yeah.
So I actually looked, and I'm going to book it tonight. So I'm okay because it looks like I can still make a reservation. But you're right. There's things like that. Or if Taylor Swift showed up, forget it.
Right. For sure. Yeah.
I'd probably have to skip the state, whatever.
Yes.
So,
Or just
but
go
you're
to the
absolutely
show.
right. It's short term. Exactly.
He'd have to spend all $300,000 on the ticket.
Exactly. I bought one Taylor Swift
Yes.
ticket. That's it.
Sorry, no homes for you. But I did see T Swift. If that makes you feel any better, as you're sleeping in a puddle.
Oh, goodness. So you said you had like a special bond with Christine. Sounds like you do ride with other instructors. Do you do some of the other content, or are you pretty much bike only guy?
No, I mean, I think one of the things I learned that's different from the last ride to this ride too is that, and given my age, is Peloton's been really big on pre and post ride stretching. So I've done a better job, not necessarily pre. I sort of do a warm up as I get out onto the ride in the morning, but I definitely do stretch post ride, and I use a lot of the stretchers that I learned from the Peloton. So I do some of the stretch classes. I have done some of the yoga classes. I have done a handful of the strength classes, but I think that's what I like about Peloton as well, is the opportunity there's a whole bunch of other things I haven't really got deeply into, and it's an opportunity to check those out. But definitely stretching has made a huge difference, I think, as this time around, I think.
That's awesome.
And he can keep his blue check mark.
Yeah,
Because he's not going to do any rides, I'll tell you that.
But he can't you just click your Just Ride on your phone and get all those minutes? Can't you do that on your?
Yeah, I could.
But it might mess with all your other things. So
no, I don't necessarily. I never really thought about it, but certainly I could do the Just Ride and basically do that. But
because you would have like a cajillion minutes.
Yeah, on average. An average day for me looks like I go on average about 75 miles a day, 6 days a week, and have Sundays off, usually Sundays, or when there's driver swap out. So the way it's working is all these weeks I'm riding, and then I've got somebody driving my SUV who's got basically what I call a nanny app that can track where I am, and vice versa. I can track where they are. And we meet up maybe 2 or 3 times during the day. But if they are looking for me or I'm looking for them, we can both find each other on the app. But they carry another bike and spare equipment. And those people are my SUV drivers. And this couldn't have happened without them. This is my friends, family, and other folks who have donated their time to come out for a week or two and drive the vehicle. So on Sundays, I usually swap out drivers as well. So this Sunday, for example, my sister, who's been doing the last 2 weeks, will go home, and then a friend of mine will pick up and do the next 2 weeks. So
that's incredible.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
awesome.
You know what's, but sorry, Crystal, you know what's been an interesting side effect of that has been, imagine this. Imagine that you did this ride and you had like 20 different friends who were going to drive the SUV. Now you had an opportunity to spend a week with that friend and just some quiet downtime. You don't have appointments. You don't have anywhere to go. The two of you are just kind of together for the week. You're not seeing each other every minute, but certainly you're having breakfast together. You end a day together. So it's been a great opportunity to have some old friends that I really wanted to catch up with, that they actually spent a week with me, and I can find out how their life's been going, the details and things like that. It's been a really cool side effect of doing this trip as well.
What a cool bonus.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's
absolutely.
neat.
Yeah, it's been pretty fun.
So what is your leaderboard name?
So my leaderboard name is SB Perimeter, the same as my as the ride itself. I just thought it's easier for people to remember.
Good marketing too.
Yes.
Yeah, so I just changed it to that. So everything SB Perimeter, whether it's Instagram or Twitter or Threads or, or the website. It's all SB Perimeter, so it makes it easy to find.
So one other thing I want to make sure we ask is if you had anybody out there thinking, "Ooh, I want to do something like this." What's one thing that you learned that you would recommend they do?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think the planning is important. So I had a framework. I had daily routes that I was going to do. But I think the most important thing I would tell anybody, just like a lot of other things, is flexibility. As Tom alluded to earlier, things change all the time. There's weather, there's road conditions, there's other things. So whether you're planning something small, medium, or large, you have to be flexible and just let it happen. Don't worry about, so for example, this ride, even though I have daily milestones, I really set it up as by the end of the week, I need to be here. So if on a good day, I can go a little bit further, then I'll go further. If on a bad day, I need to go a little bit shorter, then I'll go shorter. So, be flexible in terms of your planning. So you can plan for something big. You can plan for something you've really wanted to do, but be flexible and allow it to happen, meaning don't be so stingent on it has to be a certain way, and that's kind of how this ride has happened. I've had a number of times where construction has closed a road. Sections of road. I had a 40-mile section on the west coast of Route 1 that was closed. So I just basically had to reroute inland and go on the 101 and then basically catch the road up on the other side. But you just kind of, as much as you can, I mean, everybody stresses, but as much as you can, you just kind of say, okay, well, we'll just work through this and, it'll be fine. So that's what I would say. Anybody planning something, just be flexible.
She's breaking out in hives right
now. Yeah.
From a planning standpoint.
That's my worst nightmare,
Yes.
Jim.
Be flexible. I can't do that. No,
I had a plan.
We were even doing the same hand gesture.
Yeah.
So, yes.
So
That's
I
what
did
she
see
does.
you sweating a little bit when I was speaking.
Sorry, go ahead. Do you have like tons of PTO? You're retired. You're a secret billionaire, and your favorite social media platform wasn't available for purchase. Like, how do you find the time to do all this?
So my background is I'm a software guy. I'm a programmer actually, and I work in clinical laboratory space. So I basically write software for clinical laboratories. And as you can imagine, when COVID hit from 2020 to 2021, I was pretty busy.
Yeah.
Pretty much heads down.
Yeah.
Working. I work in the lab I work at is only about 2.5 miles from my house. So basically I went in every day and helped out with all the things they were doing for about 2 years. So when I approached my boss and my company, they were very amenable to me doing this. And they said, basically, do what you can on the road, which I do. I have a laptop and I still do work on the road. But
wow.
said, don't worry about it. But do what you can. And it'll be here when you get back. So they've been they were a big supporter in that regard. And they actually made a nice donation to the ride as well. So I can't say
wow, that is awesome
about my company. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good company.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. You don't hear a lot of companies treating their employees like that anymore. That's really nice to hear.
Yeah. It was pretty cool. A lot of people have asked, like, what about the drivers on the road? And people are probably really nasty and, it's really hard. And I'm sure you've had a lot of people. And the honest truth is I've had just the opposite. I've had a lot of nice people. I've met a lot of nice people along the way. I'll tell you 2 quick little stories.
Sure.
So I was in Texas and I broke down on the side of the road. I just had a flat. So I just pulled over and I was just fixing a flat. And you can imagine in Texas, you got pickup trucks and cowboys and everybody else. Within 5 minutes of me starting to fix that flat, I had 2 big pickup trucks, which are dualies with the dual wheels in the back and big, work construction trucks, pull over. And the guys both rolled down their windows in 5-minute integrals, basically, and basically asked, "Are you okay? Just want to make sure you're all set. Do you need a lift? Do you have the tools you need? Can you, So I was kind of blown away by that. Just the fact that, these guys would basically stop and make sure I was okay on the side.
That's awesome.
This is in the middle of nowhere. And then when I was in New Mexico and I was climbing up towards the Continental Divide, it's very sparse. Towns are about 30 or 40 miles apart. And I was riding in the middle of this area, and a car came up behind me with flashers on and slowly pulled out and passed me, and then pulled over about a 1/4 mile up the road and a Spanish-speaking couple came out and couldn't speak English that well, but he grabbed a water bottle and he came over to me and he said, "Do you have enough water?"
Aw.
Just making sure, because I was in the middle of nowhere, and it was basically, he wanted to make sure that I had enough water for my trip.
Oh, wow.
And I was really touched by that. And that happened, not only those two instances, but probably at least half a dozen instances of people just making sure that I was okay.
Wow.
So there's still a lot of kindness out there that, people don't talk about and don't see, but it is out there. Just to let people.
That's nice to know, because there's a lot of not nice. So it's really refreshing to hear the nice.
A little counterbalance.
It is. It is.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So,
well, Jim, thank you so much for taking time out of your day and your journey
Yes.
to share your day and your journey with us. So but before we let you go, remind everybody where they can find all the things, your website if they want to chip in, your social media if they want to follow along, all the stuff.
Sure. So the website is SB, like in Super Bowl, sbperimeter.org. And that website will tell you all the information about the ride. And will tell you, it actually has a page you can donate off of as well. The best place to find me on social media is on Instagram, and that is also at SB Perimeter. I post daily updates on that, on the ride, including a topographical map of kind of where I rode for the day with pictures if I have them. So it's kind of cool. This really neat software I found online that does that. And to date, we've raised $214,000 out of our $300,000 goal. And so we're almost at the end. So I'm hoping with the help of everybody out there, we can actually reach our goal. So I appreciate it. And thank you guys. Thank you both, Crystal and Tom, for having me on. This has been a lot of fun. It was a lot more fun than I imagined. This has been a lot.
Well, we try to set the bar as low as possible.
Yeah. I tripped over it. It was really good. So this has been a lot of fun. I never expected a podcast. I thought it would be more of like, an interview. This has just been like I'm actually kind of hanging out with two friends and we're just having fun together. So it's been a lot of fun and I appreciate you having me on.
Well, it means a lot to us to be able to bring all the cool stuff that so many amazing community members are doing. And you, sir, are doing an amazing thing. So we will be watching your Instagram and we will be updating our audience so they'll hear your interview and we will keep them updated as to when you cross your finish line, and we'll keep them updated on your fundraising goals as well.
I appreciate it. And I appreciate all the Peloton supporters that have been using this expression, hands on my back. And I definitely feel them when I'm out there riding every day. It's been great. It's been a great mental boost whenever I think about all those hands on my back from the Peloton community helping me out. So I appreciate them as well.
That's fantastic.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Jim.
Thank you, guys.
The Clip Out.
So I guess that brings this episode to a close. Until next week, where can people find you?
People can find me, on Facebook at facebook.com/Crystal D. O'Keefe. They can find me on all of social media and the Peloton leaderboard at ClipOutCrystal.
And you can find me on Twitter at Roger Kubert or on Facebook at facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. You can find the show online at facebook.com/The Clip Out. While you're there, like the page, join the group. And of course, don't forget our Patreon, where you can get all of these episodes ad-free and you get all sorts of bonus content with some of the overflow content that we didn't have time for in the regular weekly episodes. So that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, keep pedaling
And running.
and rowing.
Play ball!